Segment 2, Gold and Black Live, and Brian Newbert joins me, and I hear there's a rumor out there that Joe Tiller is on the line. I know he's waiting patiently because he's a patient guy, but Coach, tell me, where are you? In Central Illinois yet, or where are you?
We are sitting here looking at the mighty Mississippi.
Really? So you still got a little ways to go then into West Lafayette.
We got a ways to go.
Yeah, well,
but we're sitting here at Bettendorf, and that's where those Hawkeyes have got some great players. So I'm going to see if I can kidnap a couple and bring them back Boilermakers.
Do you have any room in the back of the van? I think that'd be fine. You know, that would be a good thing if you can get that done.
That might be a tough thing to have happen, but you never know.
Also a crime.
Yeah, and also a crime, as Brian points out. Brian, you have a question for the coach, and welcome to the show.
Joe, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks. How about yourself?
I'm not bad. Purdue's going to play a young quarterback on Saturday. You had some experience getting young guys on the field, getting them ready. How do you handle a guy when he's starting his first game, especially when he's a redshirt freshman or a true freshman? You obviously want them to be as comfortable as possible, but you also have to execute a game plan. What were your tricks?
Well, number one, you cut down the size of the package, if you will, so that it's manageable, and you find what plays he's most comfortable with, and see if they fit your game plan, and try to put him at ease as much as you can. But like you say, still have enough in there so that you can win a football game. But I think number one, you just you have to really restrict your total package so that it's manageable for a young guy that's never been out there under fire.
And having that opportunity in game one, no coach likes to switch quarterbacks in the middle of the season or even in the front end of the season, and yet when you've had to do it. Is it one of those like pulling teeth type things for you? And speaking in your experience, and obviously you had to do it a couple of times in West Lafayette, but really not all that many times during the middle of the season. But how have you, from a coaching staff perspective, when you have to make that change, what all happens from that perspective?
Well, it's a difficult thing, to deal with. Maybe. I say maybe because if you have success, then all of a sudden it becomes a really good thing. It does affect a little bit down the road, but I don't know. I always used to tell a quarterback, if you don't think you're good enough to come in here and play, then you shouldn't come here. So, I don't know how much it impacts recruiting if you're particularly going after a really good quality guy. It shouldn't impact you very much.
When you change quarterbacks on the fly, how much do you wonder or worry, whatever the word would be, about everything around it, about how guys will respond to a new voice in the huddle, about how the locker room will respond to things? As a coach, does that kind of stuff run through your mind too?
Well, that's something based on the personality of the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yourself. We've had to change a couple of times, but we had good vibes, if you will, in the locker room. That's important. The team needs to have confidence in that guy. If he doesn't have confidence in him, you kind of get that, what I call that I-65 look in their eyes, about, what's going on here.
Yeah.
And so, you can have an impact in the locker room on your team based on their confidence in this guy that's going to go in there and lead the team.
Yeah. Joe Tiller has been a traveling man. He was in West Lafayette last week for the Rose Bowl reunion. flew back out to Buffalo, Wyoming, jumped in his car Thursday morning, and he and Arnett is skillfully driving right now, I'm assuming, or I guess you guys have said you'd stop, but 1,200 and some miles from Buffalo, Wyoming. But did you have fun last week? And who was, and then maybe as a quick follow-up, who was the guy that you saw last week that might have surprised you the most?
Well, last week, I must admit, I didn't get to see much of the game.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Number one, it's really hard to evaluate when you're down there at field level. I'd much rather be up above. If I'm the guy, if I'm the evaluator, if you will. And last week, not to dodge a question.
Well, no, I was asking, Coach, who was your former player of the Rose Bowl team that surprised you, or who you hadn't seen in a period of time that was kind of a serendipitous situation to be able to see again. And you can't say Vinny Sutherland, so go ahead.
Well, I didn't recognize Vinny. I thought he was a pulling guard when I saw him. He's changed dramatically, but golly, boy, now I got to think because...
I love the picture of Chris James dancing next to you during Shout, because I didn't pick Chris James out of there, but I thought that was a classic.
Well, Chris, I did... when we greeted each other, we gave each other a hug, and I said, Chris James, are you a doctor? Yeah, and he says, I am, but I have to finish my internship and the like, so it was fun, obviously, to see him. The guy that, was really difficult, I shouldn't say difficult, was quite a surprise, was Craig Carroll.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I didn't recognize Craig when I very first saw him. Matter of fact, I looked at that guy and I thought, who the heck is that guy? That guy, was he part of the janitor crew or something going around there? Because he's lost so much weight, but he looks absolutely great.
Yeah.
And but I would say Craig Carroll was the biggest surprise to me because, he's just one of those guys, that you were close to, and you spent time around even after he finished. I saw him multiple times while he was playing in the league, and then to see him, down to where he is, I don't know. I told him, I said, I really worried about you, Craig, because at one time you were standing sideways and I didn't see you at all.
He was definitely, I didn't recognize him either. Brian, go ahead.
What's it like for a former coach to see how their players turned out? You know what I mean? I'm not saying they all act like adults, but what's it like to meet them as adults?
Well, it's great, number one, to see them and see their families. I mean, all these guys are prolific guys. They all have 2 or 3 children, and that's nice. And it's fun to see them with their families and watch them interact with their families. But as a coach, I always felt that the rewards in the game came by your players' success after they were out of the game. You see a guy that's a productive citizen, and you get talking to him, Chucky and Kobe, and he starts telling you about his business that he owns, and then he starts talking about, well, I said this to my employees and that to my employees, and Coach Tiller used to say this, and he used to say that. And I'm thinking, come on, you guys really all use that stuff. And amazingly, they do, and of course, then you feel like, gee whiz, they were listening after all.
They realized some of that sunk in.
Yeah,
Nick, and it did. I think that's from your you talk to guys, and we certainly talked to a lot of those guys from time to time. And I had time with Craig Carroll after I spoke with you on Wednesday night for the story that's on the site now, and both those guys they don't always remember you as fondly in the moment, but they do remember you fondly now, and that's a great thing. And both those guys spoke very highly of that. All right, Bowling Green was a not one of your better memories as a head football coach at Purdue. They know the Falcons have won twice in Ross-Age Stadium and one time against one of your better teams in 2003. But I liked it when I asked the question Wednesday night. You had one very quick answer. What do you remember about the game? And he said, I remembered that we practiced the next day and scrimmaged.
Full gear.
Full gear for a couple hours. And Craig Terrell and Stu Schweigert remembered that as well. Tell us that story of after that loss to Bowling Green in 2003.
Well, we thought we had a good football team. We knew we had a good football team defensively. And actually, we were tailoring, figuring going into the season that we would tailor our offense really to play to the strength of our defense. In other words, not take as many chances with the offense as we had in the past. We thought that was going to take us down the road to the Alice in Wonderland or something, But we played Bowling Green, and they had a good football team. I mean, you can't take that away from them either. It's like that Toledo team we played, in our first game ever at Purdue. That team, Toledo, I think, ran off 9 or 10 straight wins before they finally lost the game. That was a good football team, and the Bowling Green team was a good team particularly offensively. I can't recall their quarterback.
Josh Harris. Yeah.
Yeah, but he set a bunch of records there that probably have been broken since. But he set a bunch of records there, and he had a good command of their offense, and it really came down to the last possession really in the game, and we had the lead, and if we stop them, we're going to win the game. And he threw the ball, I recall, in the left corner of the end zone with Antoine Rogers defending, an Ohio guy, and Antoine was one of our better defenders, and actually on the sideline, I thought, we're going to break this pass up as he was throwing it, and both guys went up for a jump ball, and they came down with it and got the score and got the win. So, but I felt like we were the better team. We didn't perform that way. I thought maybe our guys were taking some things for granted, which always hurts you in a competitive environment. And so on Sunday we went out, and I needed to let them know that that was not acceptable, and that they really, really, really underachieved in that game. And so we went out on Sunday and scrimmaged, and we were on the field for a couple hours. That's probably against the rules today. I don't know. But and I told them after that practice, I said, you guys gave a greater effort today on Sunday than you did on Saturday, and there's a lesson in that. Never allow it to happen again, and fortunately for us, it didn't happen again.
And you went on to win 6 straight games, beat a nationally ranked Wake Forest team the following week. Brian, got time for one more question. Fire away if you have one.
Was that 2003 team your best team top to bottom?
It probably was, because it was an excellent defensive team. Mm-hmm. I forget how many guys we had drafted that year. The most ever, I think, in Purdue history. I'm not sure. Maybe not. Maybe some of the great Mullenkoff teams might have had as many guys drafted. But we had, I think we tied USC for the most guys drafted in the nation that year. Anyway, but we had a good offense, too. We had Kyle Orton at quarterback, and we really, Kyle, was an unselfish guy. I look back on it, it's not that I regret it, but I wish it would have gone a little bit different for him, because, he was capable of breaking Drew's records. You know, he had a big arm, and you know, he understood it. He liked studying football. You know, he had a lot of the same qualities. Of course, mind you, he played for how long? 10 years or 8 years?
Not too bad.
He did okay.
Yeah, he did okay. He has a few, let's put it this way, he has a few million in the bank.
Yeah, 11 years, right, in the NFL, right?
Yeah, so, especially based on last year, for crying out loud. When he told me what he got paid by Buffalo, it shocked me. I would have never guessed that. So, anyway, but Kyle was a talented guy, and we had a good offense that year. So, you know, we had a good tight end. We had, you know, we had Dustin Keller. I think wasn't Dustin just a sophomore then or something? But anyway, it doesn't matter. We had a good offense, and I agree, Brian, probably from top to bottom of all the teams we had, including the Rose Bowl team, that 2000 team was the best one.
All right, Joe, thank you so much. You far exceeded your nickel amount of time with us. Make sure you drive carefully to West Lafayette. We'll see you up in the box. I even made that CD of those pictures for you. You were outstanding last week during Shout, and I know that the fans that were remaining in Ross Age Stadium in the fourth quarter enjoyed that very much. But safe travels here. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Look forward to seeing you guys.
All right, and we'll bring in Stacy and Justin Sins for segment 3. And Brian, thank you for. I know Joe always enjoys talking to you, and we'll look forward to our last segment on Gold and Black Live. We'll see you in a couple minutes.